Hi peeps, Jenny Clouston here. I am back from my trip to Sydney and to Robertson, and I had a great time. I got to meet Linda all the way from New York. She traveled, this table's wobbling, from New York. She landed in Melbourne, then caught a train to Sydney, and then a plane to Sydney. And then, I don't know how she got there, but she got there. And it was so great to meet her in the flesh. And each one of us in the class received this beautiful little crocheted clutch. Let me zoom out, out. Anyway, and we all received one of those. And they all had lace and bits and pieces in it as a gift. But mine, I got a lovely card. And she gifted me an antique crazy quilt block. I mean, really? Goeie genade. There you go. Thanks, Linda. And I hope she enjoys her rest of her trip. She's in Adelaide at the moment, South Australia. So this video today is a bit of a mushmash of things. It's about, I was darning a pair of my jeans, and I put the video on for that, so you can see how I did that if you're interested. And also I took a few videos of the studio and some photographs of my students' work. I had a very small class there, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I did some embroidery on the plane, and also when I landed at Zoe's, that I really like. This, not so much. I'm liking the flowers, but nothing else about this. But anyway, so there you go. I hope you enjoy the videos. Good morning, Jenny Clouston here from a rainy, overcast day here on the Sunshine Coast. And I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping today. Now, I have very little interest in clothes. In fact, the only reason why I buy clothes is because I have to legally wear clothes. So I don't have any interest in them whatsoever. But I have a passion for jeans, and maybe I'm getting too old to actually wear them, but it doesn't bother me anymore. If I wanted to wear jeans at my age, that's absolutely fine. Now, this pair of jeans is Levi's. There's no elastic, so I buy Levi's because they last forever, and also there's no elastic in them, and if there is, it's very, very little. Now these I have darned once, and then they tore again at the top, so I had to do it again. And as you can see, it's nice and firm, and it's sort of, I just love how it feels. I also love doing it. So and then I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just pop the video on, and if you're not interested in seeing how I do it, well, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, so let me just talk you through it. So as you can see, this pair of jeans is ripping quite high up on my leg. Now what I do is, when I add my patch, I don't only cover this small area exactly where it is. I come from quite a distance out and up there, because I need to. Oh, here comes the rain. Isn't that beautiful? But I might have to turn it off just before I go, and I'll prep it. You can see then this piece of fabric is going to be very nice and big and cover that big area, so that it's pointless darning just from here, because that's already weak. Okay, that's my theory, and it has worked over the time when I have darned things. Now the fabric that I'm using to put on top is a Japanese yarn dyed fabric. I just love it. It's just beautiful to use, and its thread count is not too high, so it's not going to be hard on my hands, and it's very soft, so it'll take the form of my jeans and not just form a stiff thing. You know, you can see that this is very much part of my jeans. Now, not only do I put a piece of fabric on top, I also put a piece of fabric behind here. That's what I do first. So the inside of my jeans, hello Karawang, I'm going to have to switch this off because I'm sure the rain is distracting. So that's what the inside of the jeans looks like. So I use a spray adhesive, a quilt, you know, that spray stuff that you can baste a quilt with, and I attach that in, you know, I spray that on, and then that doesn't move inside my jeans, because this is quite difficult, because I am not unpicking the seam allowance. All right, so I'm going to love and leave you and get this prepped, and hopefully I will be able to make another video later on. Okay, I am back. So you can see I'm just using a piece of lovely old vintage fabric, and the piece that I'm using is very much bigger than what I actually need to use, but I'm not worried about that. When I darn in the front, and if there's any that I need to cut off, I will just cut it off, but I'd rather go big than too small. So I'm just going to come over, and this is the basting spray that I use. Yeah, so I'm just going to spray this quickly. Okay, fumes. All right, and then I'm just going to pop it on, cover all the bits that need to be covered, and she can stay there. She is now not going to move at all. All right, this is upside down, but nobody's going to see that at all. Let's turn it inside out, and there you have it. I could at this point, if I really wanted to, and not have a patch on here, I could simply do running and some people call them borrow stitching, but I could do that. However, I sort of know what's going to happen to this denim, so if I'm going to spend my time doing the running or borrow stitch, I might as well do it properly and just get it done. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to measure this to be the right size that I need her to be, and then I'm going to turn it over the edge, and I'm going to baste that hem down. All right, so that's what I'm going to do, and decide how much of this I want to use and how much I don't want to, and then measure it accordingly. Okay, let's just get the bottom done first, I think. Bottom, Jennifer. Oh, genade. I'll just use this tacking thread and a nice big juicy needle. So you can see I do prefer a turned under edge rather than a raw edge that's going to fray. Let me just see which is the right and the wrong side. I don't know why I prefer it, but I simply do. This is going to be a basting stitch. Now I have taken a tablecloth off this table because I know that the jeans would catch on it all the time, and it would drive me bananas. So I'm not really worried about this. The bigger the seam, the better. The hem, I mean. So she's going to come over here. I think I'll just give that a little haircut. Thought I dropped my needle. And I will just turn this under. I wonder if I can bring this, oh genade, this camera a little bit closer to me. Not a camera, that's my phone. And I'm going to just run a tacking thread. For all the rain today, the birds are certainly out and about. When I went for my walk this morning, I got caught in the rain, and it was just the best. So good walking in the rain, under all those trees. It's divine. I wonder if I've got enough now on this top one, because I think I'm going to have to cut it. So she's going to cross right over there. Beautiful. Just to there. Oh, this piece is going to work perfectly, and I'm going to tack this one here and then cut that off. How good is that? It's my hero marker. Would be good to I'll just use this as a little iron. There you go. Lots of noise today, sorry about that. That's what happens when you kind of stitch outside, you know? The hazards of stitching outside. There you go. And then I think if I just cut it off there, I wonder if I should go further away. Maybe that's a bit better. Yep. These scissors aren't the greatest, let me just tell you. Okay. Oh, genade, my mens, that's not very straight. Well, you're just going to have to fold it straight, Jennifer. I'm going to fold it there. Use my trusty iron. I suppose you must probably wondering why I just don't go out and buy another pair of jeans. Well, I have got quite a few pairs of jeans, but you know, this is what I like doing, so yes, my hands are in such a state from quilting that little baby quilt. Hand quilting is tough on your hands, I'm telling you. So we'll just go along here. Now you must probably are wondering how I'm going to stitch this without going through to the other side of this leg. Well, I have a solution to that, but in the meantime I'm just going to finish tacking this basting. Oh, genade, that was a big stitch there. Okay, there we have it. Now I'm going to go and get my little darning box, because I do have a little darning box, and you'll see how this works. And in the meantime, I am just going to spray this quickly with my trusty makes a mess, doesn't it, stuff. I'm going to put that on there. How much have I got there? Oh, nada. I can maybe come over a little bit, because I don't really want these to be in a straight line, those two seams. It'll look very heavy and dense. Okay, that I am now good to go. Next step, nice and flat. I'll be back. Oh, I wonder what's happening. Everybody's going a bit mad. All right, so wow. All right, so now there is my patch already done, and now what I'm firstly going to do is I'm going to stitch around the edges to get it stitched down and nice and level and whatever, and then, so now you're wondering how I'm going to stitch this, because obviously I have to keep this flat, do I not? I have to keep this flat. This is not conducive. So what I'm going to do is, what I do, look, everything's dropping. I use my trusty long ruler. You can see I've used it a lot for this. There's all scratch marks on it. And I'm going to slide it into my jeans, line it up. I can feel it's underneath there. And then with a thread, because I don't really want to have a contrast happening here, I'm going to use a thread that's near as damn it almost the same as this, as the fabric. All right, in this case it is a beautiful Sue Spargo thread, which I am wasting on my jeans, but it doesn't really matter. Wow, something is happening to all the birds. It's really interesting. All right, so underneath I come. Now I might look quite sure cack-handed doing this, but it's okay. So all I'm just going to do is a hemming stitch all the way along, making sure that I am attaching. Just let me check something, peeps. Yep, everything's going according to plan underneath. Let me move this way. So my needle can actually scrape along that ruler. Then I know that I'm going all the way through. Just mustn't pull it too tight. I've got a... Anyway, there you go. Yes, I pulled this a little bit too tight, Jennifer. Come on. Alright, so pull the thread out in the direction you want the stitch to lie, so it's that way. And I will go along quietly here, now that the birds have calmed down. It's going through so nice and easily because my jeans are so nice and soft. The Japanese yarn dyed fabric is also so nice and soft, and the vintage fabric behind obviously has been washed and worn, so the thread count is now loosened up, so it's like going through butter. My daughter had a pair of dungarees once and she absolutely loved them, and I darned them and I darned them and I darned them like this, and eventually there was hardly anything left of the dungarees, but they looked so good and they felt so nice. All right, I don't think you need to see me do this, do you? I'll switch my camera off and get this done, and I'll see you in a little while. Okay, so there we have it, all stitched down. It's also might be interesting to note that I never do any firm kind of stitching anywhere, so there's no tight little tense little stitches in here. It's quite loose and whatever. All right, so now we're going to simply mark on here where I'm going to do my kind of running stitches, and just to be different, instead of doing on here, I've just done this way. I'm going to cross hatch this one so it looks a little bit different, and all I will do is use my hero marker to score along the lines that I want to do, and then that's just a matter of doing my running stitches across there. So I'm just going to bury this knot in amongst this fabric and begin my journey. Come up on the other side of her. All right, like a quilting knot, and there I'm going to go. Now once again, you've got to make sure that you're going through all those layers. I'm not really going to stress too much about my stitches being even. I'm simply just going to bomb along. And as I said, it might not look as though I'm enjoying myself, but I am. All right. I'm going to use this hero marker to push the fabric I'm not stressed if some of the stitches are big or small. Obviously I'm trying to get them even, but if they're not, does it really matter? Just don't pull them too tight. Yeah, it's pretty tough going through some of those layers. Just make sure if you're doing this to use a nice milliner's or straw needle. I'm using my hero marker quite like the quilting spoon, but I'm using it on top of my work instead of going underneath, because I can't get my hands underneath, you know, between, you know, up the leg, you know what I'm saying. Well, this is where it's going to be tough because there's lots of layers here. And then I will just do a quilter's knot and pull that knot through between all the layers. Big pair of rusty needles. I mean, not needles, Jennifer, scissors. There you go. See you in a while. It's going very well. I'm nearly done. And it really hasn't taken me a lot of time. And what a pleasure to sit in the garden and stitch away. Wonder why you're not going through as well as I thought you would. A few of you asked me to do a video of me quilting with a spoon. I actually can't do that because the spoon is underneath the quilt, and I don't know how I'll be able to video that. But I am using this hero marker quite like I would do with the spoon underneath my quilt. Here I come through these layers. That's when the hero marker really helps a lot, because it kind of pushes the fabric onto the needle, and I'm not having to apply so much pressure to this working hand. I'm just going to travel through all my layers to the other side. What's nice about the ruler is that you can see I can just change direction and everything is in place. I wonder what upset the birds just now. bury you in. Right, I've got this side to do over here, and then I might come back and do the other side. Don't know, who knows. See you soon. So the wind has come up and I have finished my cross hatching. I will now give this these jeans a really good wash, and this will settle all the fibers in this piece of fabric, and it will get nice and soft and blah de blah, and it will be, you know. So there you go. I've enjoyed myself. I love doing things like this, and yes, so I'm packing up. And once again, yeah, look, thank you so much for your time, and bye for now. As you can see, it's raining and misty and cold, but it really adds to the atmosphere of it all. We sit inside with the fire, and we, for me, coming from the Sunshine Coast, sitting next to a fire, stitching is quite something. So that's the studio over there, but this is the B&B. That's me with wet hair. So this is the B&B. So lovely and comfy, and remember, that's the bedroom with the fairy lights, the kitchen, little lounge area. It's really, really gorgeous and comfy, and just, as I said, that's the studio, and I'll put on the lights and I'll take you through and have a look. It's divine. The bedroom with the fairy lights is an absolute delight. So, and the bed is so comfortable, and then you kind of look down into the kitchen and outside, and the studio is through there. So let's go into the studio. It's big. It is big and interesting, just so lovely. Just such a creative space, you know. And Zoe also sells some beautiful wool. It's on her website. Really gorgeous for embroidery. Slow stitching packs, linens, some wool blankets. So that's all on Zoe's website. Got all interesting things to sell. Isn't that gorgeous? So creative. Her little kitchen where the food's divine. We all sat around this table because I had quite a small class, which is right up my alley. We just chose dates that were not conducive to some of my stock. I bought some of my work to share. And Linda from New York gave us each a crocheted little bag. And I got an antique crazy quilt block in mine. And a lovely little letter, a little note. And I think all the other girls got laces. But isn't that lovely? Thanks, Linda. Yeah, little bits of artwork everywhere. And then this is the door to the outside in a rainy day. So there you have it.